If you've spent any amount of time studying the lived experiences of ordinary people during the Second World War, you already know that survival wasn't just a matter of military strategy or industrial output. It filtered down into the smallest corners of daily life, including the world of children. And before we get into the deeper lessons here, let me say this up front. If you appreciate grounded, historically backed survival knowledge, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because this kind of content is what we focus on. Real stories, real techniques, real resilience. Now, let's start with a strong hook, because the topic deserves it. One of the most overlooked aspects of wartime endurance is how children adapted to chaos through games that weren't invented for entertainment alone. These were improvised exercises in awareness, courage, discipline, and self-regulation during the most uncertain moments of the 20th century. A minute spent studying these games reveals something important. Children are far more capable of learning resilience than modern culture often gives them credit for, and the methods they used during the Second World War still hold practical value for survivalists today. When everything around them was rationed, censored, or destroyed, children built small worlds of stability through play that mirrored the demands of the time. The result was a generation conditioned not for fear, but for fast thinking and community instinct. That is where our lesson begins. Game 1 was learning to freeze during sudden danger cues. In cities under air raid threat, children often played a game among themselves where they would suddenly shout "stop" or mimic the whistle of an incoming bomb. The goal was to freeze instantly. While it seemed playful on the surface, it became muscle memory training for when sirens actually sounded. As a modern application, a family or survival group can adopt a similar cue response drill. Teaching children to stop movement, identify cover, or move to a known safe position on command builds controlled reflexes without fear-mongering. Running these drills weekly reinforces the same instinct that Second World War children developed naturally. Game 2 involved, racing to shelter as a form of competition. Kids in London and Warsaw, turned trips to bomb shelters into games, often competing to see who could reach a designated safe zone first. It wasn't about speed for its own sake, it was about knowing the safest routes instinctively. For today's survivalist, this translates into, practicing shelter-to-shelter pathways or home evacuation routes. Turning the process into time challenges really builds familiarity. In a panic event, the mind relies on the repetition it has been trained for. Game 3 was, scavenging challenges for usable items. Scarcity-shaped childhood. Children searched for scrap metal, bits of cloth, spare buttons, paper or wood, collecting anything that could help the household. They turned necessity into contests, awarding themselves points for valuable finds. In a modern setting, this teaches resource recognition. You can set up family scavenging exercises for things like fire-starting materials, repair items, or improvised tools. The benefit is not the game itself, but the sharpening of the eye and mind. Game 4 involved nighttime stealth practice. With blackout rules in place, children played hide-and-seek in near darkness, navigating by sound and memory. It honed quiet movement and spatial awareness. The lesson here carries over into learning to move confidently at night without relying solely on artificial light. You can train this by navigating your own yard or campsite with minimal lighting. It's a discipline that builds calm under reduced visibility. Game 5 centered around ration-based cooking contests. Children experimented with tiny allowances of flour, oats, or substitute ingredients, creating snacks from wartime cookbooks or household improvisation. This wasn't pretend cooking. It was early food resilience training. To apply this today, challenge yourself to prepare meals from limited supplies or pantry staples without running to the store. Practice rotating rations. Learn substitutions. In crisis, the ability to stretch supplies becomes one of the most valuable skills you can possess. Game 6 was coded communication through simple signals. Kids develop ways to pass messages unnoticed, knocks on doors, chalk marks, or coded phrases. These systems weren't spy fantasies. They allowed children to communicate information without drawing attention. Modern survivalists can, practice the equivalent by creating group signals, meeting points, or short-coded instructions for emergencies. It really reinforces coordination even if devices fail. Game 7 trained endurance through long walk challenges. Children walked miles to school, to safe houses, or to fetch water without complaint, and they often treated these journeys like challenges to beat. This built natural stamina. Today, recreating this can be done through regular pack walks. Start with a light bag, set a distance, and treat it as a test of consistency and discipline. Over time, increase weight or terrain difficulty. Game 8 built teamwork through makeshift fort building. Children worked together to construct small shelters out of rubble, wood, or whatever they found. These forts taught cooperation, basic engineering sense, and the importance of shared labour. The modern benefit is clear. Practice constructing small shelters, debris windbreaks, or tarp setups with others. Focus on speed, stability, and adaptability. This is a direct link between childhood creativity and adult fieldcraft. Game 9, it revolved around moral responsibility through guardian swap play. When parents went to work or faced those long queues, children, often formed these informal guardian circles, caring for the younger kids by role-playing as protectors or lookouts. It really encouraged leadership at a young age. You can actually apply this today by assigning rotating roles within a family or group during drills: navigator, lookout, medic, or communicator. It builds confidence, and honestly, it teaches individuals to think beyond themselves. Studying these games, it gives us insight into how a generation of children endured one of history's harshest periods, not by avoiding hardship, but by adapting their minds to it. These lessons remain valuable, not because we expect the same circumstances, but because, resilience is timeless and transferable. If you want more in-depth World War II survival breakdowns that are grounded in real historical behaviour, make sure you subscribe and share this guide so others who value serious practical history can join us.